So on your Prius, certainly the Prius C, in case you've ever wondered about the status of your auxiliary battery, the one that supplies the 12 volt, 14 volt control to the systems guys, the battery other than the high voltage battery. In case you've ever wondered about the status of it, there's an easy way to check its condition in a general manner, and to see if it's actually charging. Of course, the charging comes from the high voltage system, from the high voltage battery through the DC to DC converter, which then supplies charge current to the auxiliary battery. So there's an easy way to do that. You can actually get into the you can see the car is completely shut down now. I'm just going to go in auxiliary mode here, so the radio display unit will actually come alive. And how you do it is with the car switch held, you then rotate the lighting control stalk to the tail light position 3 times. From off to tail, off to tail, off to tail, then back to off, and the display unit will go into the diagnostic mode. Now I can't hold the camera and operate the 2 switches at the same time, but I'll do my best here to show you. I'm holding the car switch. Maybe you can hear the other switch. And it goes into the service menu. So on service menu, there's a couple of different functions here. Actually, I found this just by chance. I was troubleshooting a radio issue, a CD issue I have with the car, but I thought this might be handy for some people to know. There's no tools required, and you can see it's the car itself can provide you some facility to check this. So go on a function check settings, and then vehicle signal, and there's a few other parameters you can actually check. So again, what we're interested in here, the point of this video, is to check the auxiliary battery voltage, right? You can see it's actually 12 volts, 12.1 volts there. Seems maybe a wee bit low for a conventional car, but this isn't a conventional car, being a hybrid, of course, right? So we have ignition status, park brake status, whether or not we're in reverse, the speed of the vehicle, the tail. Just going to change that's the tail light position on the switch, and in all honesty, I'm not sure what this parameter actually is, to be quite honest. Perhaps it's the dimming function. Let's see. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you turn the headlights out of the off position and the display goes to dim. Okay, so anyway, back to the battery here. You can see it's at 12 volts. I'm going to turn the headlights on, and it would make some sense that with them loaded up, that battery voltage is going to drop a little bit, just to show you the fact that it is an actual active and current state of affairs with respect to the battery. I'm going to put it in high beam. It will drop even lower, right? Out of high beam, battery might recover a wee bit. Off, it might recover a wee bit higher again. So again, there's that is just the auxiliary battery voltage you're actually looking at. Now keep in mind, guys, the auxiliary battery in this car is really only to provide low voltage 12 volt supply for control purposes until the high voltage system is enabled. That is to say, you have the ready light lit, which means the system main relays are actually closed, providing the high voltage battery supply onto the line, so it can provide the inverter with converter assembly. What converter? The DC to DC converter, where it can actually step down the high voltage battery. Its nominal voltage of about 144 volts. It can be stepped down, likely duty cycle controlled, where it steps it down, chops it. Basically, it's a chopper circuit that will then give us usable, sensible voltage to apply charge current to the battery. So I can actually show you that in operation now. Again, we're draining just the auxiliary here. The high voltage system is not enabled. The ready light is not on. So I'm going to put my foot on the brake, hold the power switch. You can see the ready light is in fact illuminated now, meaning the SMRs, the system main relays, are actually closed. The engine may start. You can see the nominal capacity, just a grossly oversimplified status of the high voltage battery there, of course, in the bar graph format. So the engine is not running. We're just sitting here statically parked with the high voltage battery supplying everything, including the charge current to the auxiliary battery now, right? You can see here that the battery, the auxiliary battery, is now reading 13.3 volts. Well, where did that come from? Again, with a high voltage battery online, through the DC to DC converter in the inverter with converter assembly, it's now supplying charge current to replenish the capacity of the auxiliary battery. So you're doing two things here. You're grossly checking the health of the state of charge in the auxiliary battery, which does reflect the state of health, obviously, but you're also checking that the DC to DC converter function is actually operative, and you can see here it is in fact supplying charge current. So I hope that makes some sense. Again, hold the car switch, rotate the lighting stock to the tail position, off tail, off tail, off tail, back to off. You'll go into the maintenance mode basically here. That's not the exact term, but that's what it is. And you can get into this page here by selecting vehicle signal. You can also check a few other things on the radio display assembly here, but that's beyond the scope of the video here. I'll leave it at that, guys. I hope that makes some sense. No tools required. You can in fact check the status of your auxiliary battery. Again, it's not a comprehensive test, but it gives you a decent idea of the state of charge of the auxiliary battery, and is the DC to DC converter actually charging the battery. Right, that's it. Oh, I guess I should mention, in order to get out of this mode, just toggle the power switch, and it will go back to its normal state of operation. That's it. Cheers.